So we finished this beautiful chapter where Srila Kaviraj Goswami is describing how he came to write Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he does so in an extremely humble and extremely conscious way. First, he gives extensive glorification of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, who already wrote something about Chaitanya Leela. So he describes Vrindavan. He's like deferring to Vrindavan Das Thakur. He's the real Vyas of Chaitanya Leela. I'm just chewing on his remnants like this. And extensively, even he says, "You fools, just read the work of Vrindavan Das Thakur. Just read Chaitanya Mangal." He says like, "Muda log, you foolish people, you don't need to do anything with your life except read the book of Vrindavan Das Thakur," like to this extreme. So he's to this extent, he's glorifying his predecessor, writer and recorder of Chaitanya Leela. And then he's in a very deliberate way, he's describing the assembly of Vaishnavas who were present in Vrindavan at the time that he was there, how they came to request him to write this book that they were reading. And also Kaviraj Goswami mentioned that Vrindavan Das Thakur, in his book, he gave much description of the early pastimes of Mahaprabhu, but he spent so much time glorifying Nityananda Prabhu that he didn't leave space to describe the later pastimes of Mahaprabhu. As Gurudev said, Chaitanya Bhagavat could be called Nityananda Bhagavat because there's such extensive glorification of Nityananda Prabhu. So he didn't want his book to become too big, so he wasn't able to describe so much of the later pastimes. So this left like some gap. And meanwhile, the devotees in Vrindavan, they were reading this wonderful text, Chaitanya Bhagavat, but feeling like they're missing something. They want to hear more about the later pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And so they especially requested Kaviraj Goswami, in particular this Haridas Pandit, who is a grand disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. He's like the temple manager. We're talking about temple managers, right? So he's a temple manager. He's described as the chief servitor. And he used to read Chaitanya Bhagavat in a grand assembly of Vaishnavas. And all the Vaishnavas would relish hearing Chaitanya Bhagavat, but they felt they're missing something. They want to hear more of the later pastimes. And so they requested Kaviraj Goswami. And then Kaviraj Goswami, as I said, already he glorified Vrindavan Das Thakur so much, he received the direct order of the Vaishnava. Then another point, he goes to, even though he receives this direct order from the request from the Vaishnavas, he wants to confirm this is really necessary, really what is wanted of him. And so he goes to the deity of Madan Mohan and asks for permission from that deity. And then there's that famous incident, just when he's going to pray to him, then the Madan Mohan's garland falls from him. And it's so clear that it's in response to his prayer that the persons who are in the temple at the time, they immediately recognize that this is grace for him, and they start chanting Hari, Hari. The pujari brings the garland, gives it to Kaviraj Goswami. So it's very clearly grace from Madan Mohan to Kaviraj Goswami. So then the question was, why was Kaviraj Goswami chosen? Actually, he was like the most junior person there. There were other Vaishnavas who had association with Mahaprabhu, direct association with Mahaprabhu, who were present. So why did they ask Kaviraj Goswami? He didn't even meet Mahaprabhu. He's like 2 generations down. He didn't even meet Nityananda Prabhu, who stayed for some time. Like Vrindavan Das Thakur, he didn't meet Mahaprabhu, but he met Nityananda Prabhu. But Kaviraj Goswami didn't meet either of them directly. So why did they choose him? That is the question. Does anyone know the answer? Why was he the chosen one? Come on, Pandit or Mahavansha, you can say something.
Maybe because he was referring, going through the proper way of referring everyone to Vrindavan Das Thakur. So like he was going to like continue his work rather than to just do another thing. I don't know. That's the only. I don't know. Vishakha.
Pandita, any thoughts? When Kaviraj Goswami went to Vrindavan, who did he especially take shelter of? I'll give you a clue. Look in our Guru Parampara.
Jiva Goswami.
If you look in our Guru Parampara song. okay. I'll stop there. Because Kaviraj Goswami, he took shelter of Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he spent the last 16 years of Mahaprabhu's pastimes with him in Puri. And Mahaprabhu put Raghunath Das Goswami in the direct care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. To the extent that Raghunath Goswami, he used to be known as Swarupera Raghu, Swarup's Raghu, because there were a few different Vaishnavas called Raghunath, and so they would distinguish, like we have, Radharani 1, Radharani 2. We should come up with something better than that. Radharani from Colombia, Radharani from Mexico. We need a better system here. So there were different ways to distinguish between them. So this Raghunath Das Goswami, he was known as Swarup's Raghu, that Raghu, the one who belongs to Swarup Damodar. So they had very intimate association. And he had this and who's Swarup Damodar? He's the second manifestation of Mahaprabhu. His heart is a mirror of Mahaprabhu's heart. He knows Mahaprabhu better than Mahaprabhu knows himself. So Swarup Damodar, he's the most intimate associate of Mahaprabhu. Raghunath was put directly under his care, received personal instruction from him, and Raghunath himself directly witnessed so many things with Mahaprabhu. Therefore, Raghunath Das Goswami, he was privy to something that hardly anyone was. What was the internal nature of Mahaprabhu? Radha Bhava Jyoti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Srupam, the combined form of Shri Shri Radha Krishna, the heart, Krishna enhanced with the heart and halo of Radharani. This was practically unknown. This, like so many Vaishnavas, they were in the close association of Mahaprabhu, but what is his internal nature, what is the internal reason for his descent? This was not really known. They're not really knowing this. This is not revealed to Vrindavan Das Thakur. Actually, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's in Sakya Ras. He's in a different mood. So this is like an exclusive Madhura Ras conception. And so it was hardly known. Just a few persons knew this. And Kaviraj Goswami, because he came in that line, he when he came to Vrindavan, he took shelter of Raghunath Das Goswami. Then Raghunath Das Goswami, he revealed everything to him.
There is something also, some writings that he received also.
Swarup Damodar did make some. It's mentioned he has some notebooks. Yes.
Kaviraj Goswami received them, something like that. Right?
Yeah, I would think so. I'm not sure, but it would make sense from Swarup Damodar to his number one disciple, Raghunath Das Goswami, and then Kaviraj Goswami, disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami. That would make sense. But they're also not dependent on notebooks. So because it's very interesting, because in such a way, who's like the most junior person can actually have more than others who are in a senior position. This was the position of Kaviraj Goswami. And so everybody saw that, that they recognized, he had this special relationship with Raghunath. He would be able to give something more than they would. He would be able to reveal something more. So this is the special position of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Did you catch that, Radharani Devidasi?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're going to continue with chapter 9. We'll just read a very little bit because everyone's super busy. Chapter 9 of Adi Lila, the desired tree of devotional service, beginning with verse 1. Tam Srimad Krishna Chaitanya Devam Vande Jagadgurum Yasyanu Kampaya Swapi Vahabdim Santadet Sukham. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual master of the entire world, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even a dog can swim across a great ocean. Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Gaura Chandra Jaya Jaya Dvaita Jaya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Gan Sarva Bhishta Purti Hetu Jahadas Madam. All glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. In order to fulfill all my desires, I remember their lotus feet. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath. So I also remember them, the 6 Goswamis. Esab Prasade Liki Chaitanya Lila Gun Jani Vana Jani Kori Apana Shodam. It is by the mercy of all these Vaishnavas and Gurus that I attempt to write about the pastimes and qualities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whether I know it or not, it is for self-purification that I write this book. I'm not sure of the sense there. Knowingly, or I'm not sure of the sense there. And then we have a Sanskrit verse here. Also Kaviraj Goswami's verse. Mala Kada Swayam Krishna Prema Mada Tudu Swayam Data Bhukta Tatphalanam Yastam Chaitanyam Ashraye. I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who himself is the tree of transcendental love of Krishna, its gardener, and also the bestower and enjoyer of its fruits. So Mahaprabhu, he is the tree of prema. He is the tree of Krishna prema. He's also the gardener of that tree. And he's the taster, the enjoyer of the fruits of that tree. So simultaneously, he's these 3 things. Prabhu koheyami vishvam bar namadodi nam sartaka hoy jadi preme vishwabodhi. The Lord thought, my name is Vishwambar, one who maintains the entire universe. Its meaning will be actualized if I can fill the whole universe with love of Godhead. So how will the universe really be maintained? Through Krishna Prema. This is real maintenance. This is real care. Eta chinti loila prabhu malakar dharma navadvipe adambila folodhyana karma. Thinking in this way, he accepted the duty of a planter and began to grow a garden in Navadvip. Garden of Krishna Prema. Shri Chaitanya Malakar Pitivite Ani Bhakti Kalpa Taduropila Sinchi Chapani. Thus the Lord brought the desire tree of devotional service to this earth and became its gardener. He sowed the seed and sprinkled upon it the water of his will, or his desire. Jaya Shri Madhava Puri Krishna Prema Pur Bhakti Kalpa Tadorite Ho Prata Mankur. All glories to Sri Madhavendra Puri, the storehouse of all devotional service unto Krishna. He is a desired tree of devotional service, and it is in him that the seed of devotional service first fructified. So, Ankur means like the sprout, and so he's sometimes described as Prema Ankur. Madhavendra Puri is the sprout of Prema. You know, that mood, previously it was not to be detected within this world, and specifically within this this line that Mahaprabhu appeared within, of Madhvacharya. So it was not previously present. And it first appeared within Madhavendra Puri. So very special position, Madhavendra Puri. And then after Madhavendra Puri, took full form in Mahaprabhu. Shri Ishwar Puri Rupe Ankur Pushta Hoilo Apane Chaitanya Mali Skanda Upajilo. The seed of devotional service, or next fructified in the form of Shri Ishwar Puri. And then the gardener himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, became the main trunk of the tree of devotional service. Nija chincha shakche mali hoya skanda hoy saka shakar se skanda mula shoy. By his inconceivable powers, the Lord became the gardener, the trunk, and the branches simultaneously. Paramananda Puriyar Keshava Bharati, Brahmananda Puriyar Brahmananda Bharati, Vishnu Puri Keshav Puri Puri Krishnananda, Shrina Shringa Tirtar Puri Shukananda, Enavamunika Shilo Riksha Mule, Enava Mule Riksha Korilo Nishtrale. Paramananda Puri, Keshava Bharati, Brahmananda Puri, and Brahmananda Bharati, Shri Vishnu Puri, Keshava Puri, Krishnananda Puri, Shrina Shringa Tirtha, and Shukananda Puri. These 9 sannyasi roots all sprouted from the trunk of the tree. Thus the tree stood steadfastly on the strength of these 9 roots. So these were the 9 sannyasis in the time of Mahaprabhu, who were part of his group. And it's interesting because if you think about it, it's not very much, 9 sannyasis. It was all grihastas, actually. It was mainly grihastas. Just a few. Srila Saraswati Thakur, I think he had something like 18 or something, sannyasi, something like that. And Gurudev had many sannyasis. And Param Guru Maharaj also. But Mahaprabhu only 9 sannyasis. And think like how many thousands of devotees were part of Mahaprabhu's Leela.
This explanation is the 9 sannyasis previous Mahaprabhu, right?
No, this is in Mahaprabhu's time.
But there was Ishwara Puri there. Ishwara, no?
No, he's not here. Paramananda Puri, who we hear about Paramananda Puri, right? Keshava Bharati, who was his sannyas guru. Brahmananda Puri, we also hear about him. Brahmananda Bharati, we hear about him. Vishnu Puri, don't really hear about. Keshava Puri, Krishnananda Puri, Nrsinga Puri, and Sukananda Puri. These were like the associates. But Keshava Bharati, he wasn't really an associate, but he was his guru. But yes, of course, Ishwar Puri, he was also a sannyasi. But I would think maybe he wasn't really present in the time of Mahaprabhu because he passed away or he wasn't involved. Okay. Madhyamo Paramananda Puri Mahadir Ashtadike Ashtamo Riksha Koilostir. With the sober and grave Paramananda Puri as the central root, and the other 8 roots in the 8 directions. Oh, well, the reason he's not mentioned here is because this is like describing the trunk and what's coming from the trunk. But Ishwar Puri, he's like prior to that, right? If Madhavendra Puri is the ankur, the sprout, Ishwar Puri is the next development of that, and then Mahaprabhu is the next development of that, right? So it's like it's a different, different line. That's because he's mentioned in the previous verse. Yeah. So the seed fructified in the form of Ishwar Puri, and then from that came Mahaprabhu. And then it's describing these roots that are coming out from the trunk of Mahaprabhu, who are like giving strength and support. with the sober and grave Paramanandapuri as the central root, and the other 8 roots in the 8 directions, the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood firmly. Skande upade baho shaka upajilo, upadi shaka sankhya hoilo. From the trunk grew many branches, and above them innumerable others. Visha shaka kodi eka mandal, Maha shaka choilo brahmanda sakal. Thus the branches of the Chaitanya tree formed a cluster or society with great branches covering all the universe. I've been meditating very much on this famous verse, the first verse of the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This describing this material world as like this banyan tree that's, that was upside down. Urdvamulam adashakam ashratam puravyayam chandam si yasya parnani yastam veda saveda vid. I had a dream with Gurudev. He was telling me that verse. And I understood he was knocking me on the head. This world is all based on illusion. It's based on aversion. It's such a nice meditation, that verse. In my dream, I was, because that day I'd been thinking very much this verse. What verse? Atapi te deva parambuja dvai prashada le shauna grahita evahi ajati tattvam bhagavan mahimno achanye kopi vichinvan. That this a very beautiful verse in Lord Brahma's prayers to Krishna, but it's also repeated in the exchange with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Gopinath Acharya, saying that somebody can speculate for thousands of lifetimes, they won't understand anything. Though through their intellect they can try to understand the Lord for thousands of lifetimes, they won't get anything. But if somebody gets just kripa lesh, just a trace of the Lord's mercy, then they easily understand. A very beautiful verse. I was thinking about that verse, and then that night Gurudev was there, and I told him that verse. And then he started chanting hundreds of verses. But that was the only one I could catch, this one from Bhagavad Gita. And I could understand, this is what I need to meditate on. You're totally an illusion. So that's the tree that we're accustomed to in this world. This tree where we see everything upside down and everything's in aversion to the real currents of reality. And the following verses from that verse are very nice. It's saying how with the axe that we have to cut this tree, with the axe of association. Maybe it mentions detachment acquired through association, but it mentions association, through the association of the sadhus we can cut this tree. We have to cut that tree. So when we feel that this type of illusion coming within us, we have to cut it. So anyhow, I feel inspired because, we're accustomed to that kind of tree in this world, But Mahaprabhu, he brought another tree to this world, the tree of Krishna Prema. We want to be connected to this tree, not that tree that's an aversion to the highest reality. This tree is gonna take us up, not take us away. Well, we don't want to go too far, but maybe I'll just finish this page so I feel like we got somewhere. Ekaika shakate upa shaka shata sata jata upa jila shaka kegani bekoto. From each branch grew many hundreds of sub-branches. No one can count how many branches thus grew. Mukhya mukhya shaka ganer nama ganan ageto karibo shuno vikshe varnan. I shall try to name the foremost of the innumerable branches. Please hear the description of the Chaitanya tree. Vikshe upare shaka hoilo duish kanda ekadvaita nama aro nityananda. At the top of the tree, the trunk branched into two. We could make a beautiful painting of this, illustration, right? This is so beautiful. So there's the main trunk, which is Mahaprabhu. Then there's the roots, who are these 9 sannyasis. And then the trunk, it splits into two, Advaita Charya, Nityananda Prabhu. One trunk was named Sri Advaita, and the other Nityananda. Seidu iskande bahu shaka upajilo, tarupa shaka gane jagata chailo. From these two trunks grew many branches and sub-branches that covered the entire world. Purushaka upashaka tarupashaka jata upajilotar kekori beleka. These branches and sub-branches and their sub-branches became so numerous that no one can actually write about them. Shishya prashishya upashishya gan Jagadvapi lotar nahiko ganam. Thus the disciples and the grand disciples and their admirers spread throughout the entire world, and it is not possible to enumerate them all. Shishya, prashishya, upashishya. I don't know what the upashishya means. Udambar viksha jeno fole sarva yange mata bhakti viksha sarvacha phalage. As a big fig tree bears fruits all over its body, each part of the tree of devotional service bore fruit. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there because it really is a busy day today, and we can continue tomorrow morning. Does anyone know what a fig tree looks like? Neither do I. I mean, I thought I've seen a fig tree at Villa Govinda, but I'm not understanding what it's saying here. It bears fruits all over its body. And the purport doesn't say. Maybe there's different types of fig trees.
Can I ask a question?
I'll try to answer.
That verse of the banyan tree always reminds me of like how actually, there's truth and then the perverted reflection of it. But that and I was thinking a lot about metaphors. We hear so many metaphors. And it's and then I'm also thinking about Guru saying like a half truth is worse than a lie. Like it feels like almost impossible to not think about transcendental truths and relate it to one's mundane experience.
Yes. That's a statement. It's a deep thought.
No, well, the question is like, it's basically impossible to think. Like we live in a world of metaphors. So we hear metaphors so often, and it's probably so easy to misunderstand the true essence of the thought or statement, because we get distracted by misunderstanding of what it truly is.
Well, I think just that we have that. I mean, I agree. It is impossible to be completely free of that, but just that type of consciousness, that type of reminder, that's very good. That's very healthy. You know. I mean, what else can we do other than that? You know? That we have some consciousness that our understanding is faulty and that actually we can't really understand it. I'm not 100% sure what you're speaking about. I mean, generally when I talk along those lines, I'm thinking of like the nature of spiritual experience and not confining that or dragging that down to, you know, the reference points that we have in this world. But you're speaking about the tree, this tree as a metaphor?
Not specifically, but
Okay.
just in general. Like, we hear so many metaphors. So often we use something in this world to relate to the spiritual world, but actually...
Well, I think we see them... Well, I mean, we see our gurus do it all the time. I mean, I find it useful. As long as we understand, it's like we hear this expression, dig darshan, right?
Meaning useful to someone that's prone to misunderstanding.
Useful for someone who's... I just think it's useful to give us some general idea, like of what... You know, analogies are so helpful in that regard, to give us some general idea, you know. Like we hear this expression, dig darshan, right? Pointing in the direction, or Shata Chandra Nyai, the logic of trying to find the moon through the branches in a tree. You know? The moon has no connection with the branches in the tree. It's very far from, much bigger, but you're using, like, oh, you see you want to find the moon, you see that branch there, you go up there, it's right there. And it's like helping to give some indication. But we should also understand it's just that, it's an indication giving us some idea. I've heard Srila Rupa Goswami in one place, we always hear lotus feet and lotus lips, lotus face, and these type of descriptions, right, of the Lord's beauty. But I've heard in one place, Srila Rupa Goswami, he's apologizing to please, forgive me. Like I'm giving this description. This doesn't even touch upon what it actually is, but what else can I do? I'm just trying to give some idea, So it's like that. I mean, this analogy with the tree, it's just we can draw out what is the principle that's being expressed there. It's a very deep verse, and I'm not really able to properly explain it. But that main point is clear to me that this tree, and I think it's a wonderful analogy. It's rooted. It has its roots above, and it's growing down. So its source is in the spiritual plane. I think it's just a wonderful now. Its source is in the spiritual plane. However, it's rooted in aversion. It's growing away from the spiritual plane. That's the nature of this world. Its source is that spiritual plane, and we belong to that spiritual plane. But the whole current of the world is going opposite from that plane. That's the principle to be drawn. We don't have to get too wrapped up about the tree, but that's the idea. And I think that analogy helps to illustrate that. But yeah, in general, sure, we have to have some caution in thinking that we've really understood many of the things that we've heard. We've put them in the cage of our intellect. Srila Sridhar Maharaj always quotes this, Achincha Kaluje Bhava Natam Starkena. What is it? Natam Starkena Bhava Chet, or something, I think from Mahabharata. that which is achintya, that which is inconceivable, don't try to put that within the realm of your intellect. It is beyond that. Again and again, this type of warning is given. In Bhagavatam, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he says this word adhokshaja. It's a favorite word of the Lord in Bhagavatam. Why? Because here in this word adhokshaja means that which is beyond the purview of one's senses. It is utterly beyond that. It is beyond the jurisdiction. I can't remember. Gurudev used to break it down, and I can't remember the literal meaning of it. But that's what it means, basically. It's beyond what can be perceived by one's senses. So why is this being, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, why is it a favorite in Bhagavatam in particular? Because here the aprakrita lila of the Lord is being presented. It is appearing totally prakrita, it's appearing totally mundane, but it is not. It is aprakrita. It is beyond. So this caution is given. Don't try to think you got it. Don't think you got it in the cage of your experience and your intellect, your knowledge. It is more than that. So again and again, in scripture and the writings of our gurus, this type of caution is given. We're hearing these things, and it's helping to develop our appreciation. Our understanding is developing to some extent, but at the same time, we have to have this healthy dose of, actually, I don't really understand it. Actually, I don't really know what it is. We have to always have that kind of check and caution and consciousness in our approach. At every step, we need to think that I don't know what it is. Actually, this is Mahaprabhu's starting point in Ramananda Samvat of devotional life, real devotional life. Jnane prayasham udapashyan amanta eva. You don't know. This is what he accepts as the starting point. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Whatever you think you've understood, throw it away. Set it aside. It's something else. Age kahar. Go deeper. Go further. Jananta eva janantu kim bahukjaname prabho. Manaso vapusho vacho vaibhavam tava gochara. Lord Brahma's famous expression. Let other people who think that they know something, let them think that. Let those who say they know, let them say that they know. No problem. Let them continue. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, let them continue to dance their foolish dance. He said like that, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. But as far as I'm concerned, mentally, verbally, physically, I cannot approach you in any way. With my mind, with my intellect, with my words, with my body, I'm unable to approach you in any way, in any form. It's not possible. This is the starting point of someone who's really going to be able to understand something, saying, I can understand, realizing how high it actually is. So at every stage, our preconceptions need to be leave it at the door. We have to put that sign at our door. Whatever you think you know, leave it at the door. Then you can come in. All your prejudice, your preconceptions, what you know, leave it at the door. This is something else. This is something different. We're giving you something different here. You need to understand that. And that's applicable for somebody who joined yesterday. That's applicable for me, for you, for all of us. That's applicable for someone who's been practicing for 50 years. And even the great exalted Vaishnavas, they're always approaching life and the spiritual life in this very... actually, spiritual life, it doesn't mean anything at a certain point. There is no other life. I have a spiritual life and I have a material life, Yeah, okay, for me that makes sense, but for our gurus, it doesn't make sense. There's only one life for them. There's no spiritual life. This is kindergarten talk. This is the kindergarten playground lingo. So they're always approaching life in this very fresh way. We saw that with Gurudev. Like, how many times did we hear him say, "I am surprised"? He would always be saying that. "I am surprised." Like, he was always experiencing like freshness and newness, fresh revelation, new perspective. I've been reading Bhagavad Gita for like 50 years now, and still I'm getting some new light, So they're always with this like open, fresh type of spirit. They're approaching everything, and in that way we can attract, we can invite that revelation to descend. Well, I don't know if I really answered your question, but that's what comes to mind. Well, we're so happy to be here with our good friends, Rasamai Pandita, Mahamantra Prabhu. Very, very, very good fortune. Okay, well, we didn't hear you sing. Pandita, you sing Hari Haraya Nama Krishna.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Namaha.